The economics of feeding Reassure precision-release choline. Reassure is fed during the transition period, and because it's fed for such a short period of time, it costs just $15 per cow. And yet the benefits will continue to generate income throughout the year. Cows fed Reassure produce 5 pounds more colostrum, which pays for your Reassure investment on the very first day of lactation. Cows fed Reassure also produce 5 pounds more milk per day, every day. That means after the first day, every day is payday. Invest in Reassure during the transition period and recoup your investment on the very first day of lactation. After that, you got it, payday.
For over 30 years, Progressive Dairy has been bringing dairy producers forward-thinking articles about new facilities, new products, and new methods.
What began as an 8-page flyer in 1987, serving the dairy producers of Idaho, Progressive Dairy Magazine has grown into a national and international publication serving the dairy industry across North America.
From the beginning, Progressive Dairy has been provided as a free publication to dairy producers and continues that way today.
Progressive Dairy has always been provided free with the support of advertisers who promote their products and services on the pages of our magazine. Our advertisers trust that we are delivering Progressive Dairy to the right audience. You can help us maintain that trust with our advertisers.
We invite you, our reader, to make sure you request and renew your free subscription to Progressive Dairy once every 2 years to help us keep your information up to date and to ensure that you will continue to receive Progressive Dairy for many years to come.
How will you know if you need to renew your subscription? It's actually really simple. Here, let me show you. For print magazines, on the front cover of each issue, right above your mailing address, you will find your customer ID number. When we need to hear from you, the message, "Time to renew," will be printed after that number. If you don't update your subscription at that time, the text will then change to read, "This could be your last issue, and you could be removed from the mail list if you don't take time to renew." So be sure you don't miss an issue by watching for those messages on your mailing label on the front cover and reach out to us to renew.
Is there anyone else working on your farm or ranch that should have a free subscription? Let us know their information or pass this along, and we'll get them signed up for free as well.
Renew your subscription online at progressivedairy.com or call us at 208-324-7513 to speak with one of our team members. Also, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and our podcast for the latest information about the dairy industry.
Flexibility, profit, maximized potential. HerdFlex beef embryos enable dairies to break into new markets, maximize ROI, take a cost per pound of gain advantage, and achieve high carcass merit and marbling desired by the beef market and consumers. Plus, full beef calves offer the opportunity to earn greater premiums, earning you greater peace of mind. Successful implementation doesn't start with a transaction. It starts with a solid partnership like ours with select sires. Simplot Animal Sciences has the knowledge, decades of IVF research, and on-farm support to empower your breeding goals. Ready to produce high-quality dairy and beef products? Ready to create revenue beyond milk sales? Ready to reach your farm's full potential? Let's build a more productive future.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Producer Exchange. My name is Scott Sorrell, Director of Global Marketing for Balchem Animal Nutrition and Health, and I'm thrilled to be part of the Real Producer Exchange webinar, where we connect with dairy producers worldwide, diving into their unique challenges, opportunities, and most importantly, lessons learned. Before we get started, let's go through a few housekeeping items. On the screen is an example of what you should see as your webinar interface. In the upper right corner, you should see some options. Here you can access the Q&A tab. Please use this to submit questions during the webinar. All the questions will be collected during the session and we'll address them at the end. If you have any troubles during today's session, please type it into the Q&A tab. One of our session organizers will work with you to resolve the issue. Now let's get started by introducing today's moderator, Mr. Walt Cooley, a seasoned editor from Progressive Dairy Magazine, who shares a deep expertise in all things dairy. Welcome, Walt. Great to see you again. Would you mind introducing our guest for us?
Sure. Thanks, Scott. It's great to be here today, and thank you for everyone for participating. I'd like to welcome Skylar Gericke to the Real Producer Exchange. Skylar manages Triple G Dairy Farm in Buckeye, Arizona, and they have a clear focus on animal reproduction and health and long-term productivity on his farm. And that's despite the challenges of extreme desert heat. So together with their two farms, Holsteins at the Triple G location and Jerseys at the Legendary location, they milk around 5,000 cows. And again, they're operating in one of the hottest dairy climates in the United States. So hopefully we'll be able to learn a little bit about heat stress and managing that from Skylar's experience. Before I get too far into this and say too much, Skylar, why don't you introduce your farm and give us a quick rundown of your background, and then we can get into some more of these specifics.
Thanks, Walt. So Triple G Dairy, Legendary, and Sunrise Dairy, all right here in the Phoenix Valley here in Arizona. Definitely hot during the summer, nice during the winter. We get a little bit of rain. You can kind of see here, Triple G Dairy. We milk 3,800 Holsteins with a little bit of sprinkle of Swiss. Been in Arizona since the 1950s. Came here from California. This family is originally they're Swiss, so originally from Europe there. Fourth generation now, not me, but they definitely have a grandson now working on the dairy. Legendary, moving forward, is a partnership between Triple G and myself. That is 1,400, now 1,500 Holsteins and Jerseys, mostly Jerseys. That place was kind of built back in, we started back in 2025 as a way to kind of fill some of the overflow that we had from Triple G and Sunrise. Sunrise Dairy, that is the son of Ben Ging, who owns Triple G. He is milking 3,900 Jerseys, and this is all kind of right close to each other. We're all within a mile of each other. Sunrise Dairy to the west there, Triple G Dairy kind of in the middle, and then it's not marked here, but Legendary is that little dairy down south of Triple G Dairy. And so we're all kind of seeing the same kind of weather. We get rain at the same time, we get heat at the same time, so we have to kind of maximize what we can do on all three dairies to make something happen. A little bit about Triple G is kind of the main one that I would like to focus on, just because this is where it all started. All the changes we made, all the the success that we've had. Triple G is kind of the guinea pig, I say, on all this. So to explain, Triple G is mainly housed in Saudi barns. There is some open lots, but most of our milk cows are under Saudi barns with corral pool system. It is dry cow, dry manure bedding, and then flush lanes as well. We milk under a double 48 carousel. Each carousel milks the same pen. At the time, this dairy was built back 30 years ago. So at the time, this was definitely ahead of its time, but now it's starting to show its age. And then the feed center, obviously, we're trying to create consistent feed for these cows and different rations and stuff like that. So we have a feed center that's pretty simple. It's mobile wagons. We're trying to protect it from the environment, obviously, with feed bays that are covered in shade. We do run our own mill where we kind of roll our own corn. That way we're buying whole corn kernels instead of buying water and trucking it in with the rolled corn. So trying to be efficient in the feed area as well.
great. I wanted to introduce 3 of the topics here we're going to be talking about with Skylar today. So the first one we're going to address is cow comfort, obviously being in one of the, I don't know if it's harshest, but one of the warmest climates in the United States. Skylar can teach us a little bit about cow comfort. And then we'll talk a little bit about the technology that they're employing on their farm and some of the things that they've learned as they've been leaning into that technology space. And then the last thing we'll talk about is their reproduction strategy, which is some of the embryo and genetic evaluation things that they've been doing to try and increase their efficiency on their herd and productivity. All right, so let's go ahead and start. Skylar, tell us a little bit about cow comfort. You kind of gave me a hypothetical when we were preparing for our presentation today. You said, when do you stop spending money on cow comfort? And in Arizona, maybe that's never.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy one there. So I've had this conversation with my vet, with my nutritionist, with, people I know, and when do you stop spending money on cow comfort? Well, when the cows can't get any more comfortable, I guess. Because when those cows are comfortable, those cows are going to be as profitable as possible. When they're able to do what they are made to do, they will express it. So one of the big things for us was the cooling aspect. So we have 4 to 5 months that are above 80 degrees, can get anywhere from 115 to 120 degrees. I mean, we see summer days, months that stay well over 100 degrees. So it's maximizing that potential that we have on facility, and investing a little bit of money on this old facility just to kind of keep that as efficient as possible. So when I got here, I've been at Triple G for 8 years. I'm from the Midwest. This stuff is not as important back there. So, I just, the fans are on, the water's on, everything's working. We're good, So I learned quickly that's not the case. You have to look at wind speeds, and you have to look at water pressures, and you have to make sure things are consistent over time. And so the original corral cool system that we had in place, it was obviously the same deal, a little outdated. It was hard to manage. We had to call a tech in for everything we wanted to do. So what we ended up doing was using the same fans, the same water lines, all that stuff, just putting in our own computer. The corral cool system was just a circuit board, and it, and then a weather station, and that's how it ran. But we kind of made it a little bit more complicated and spent a little bit of money on our own computer that would do everything on its own as long as we put the right settings in. And that's important for me because, it does get humid here at certain points of the year when we get hit monsoon season. So we have to reset all the set points and maybe drop the water down with humidity and all that stuff. So what we did was we put in a touchscreen, easy to access for myself and my guys. We put in that big cabinet right there, and that kind of is all the whole computer telling everything what to do and when to turn on. It's also where all the power comes from for the fans and everything. So that to the left there, that's just a view of the I guess the pad that everything sits on. And then to the right here, we also took and tore out all the old pump system and put in our own pump systems. These new ones that we put in, they run off of VFDs. That way, when water fluctuates on the dairy, which it will, water is a problem sometimes, especially during the summertime with high usage. These pumps will pick up what they need to in order to keep consistent water pressure over the cows at all times. We get stages of, there are 5 stages of cooling. So it stages up, or, the employees go home and take a shower, or a wash pen goes off. So water pressure will fluctuate, and these pumps will make sure that we're holding 180 or to 200 PSI to those cows at all times. Filter as well. So We changed the filter system to try and create longevity on our Mister tips. That way we don't have to change them out as often. I mean, they're expensive, so and we want to make sure that we don't get clogged ones. We get ample amount of water out to those cows as possible. The other thing that I kind of stress a little bit is not only the cooling, but the bedding, the cleanliness, dry, feed to the cows. I mean, that's all in comfort as well. We basically are trying to maximize all of that. So we talk a little bit about the heat abatement, but we're open lot dairy. So when we get rain, all our bedding gets wet. And if you look at these two pictures, we're trying to keep these cows comfortable day and night. So if you look at the right picture at nighttime, that is a picture. It's actually Christmas morning, and all the cows are laying down. We had torrential rain kind of around Thanksgiving, and then it didn't dry out, and then we got another rain in around Christmas time. And so what we do is we bring in dry manure for those cows just to make sure that they have a place to lay down. And that was done 16 hours ago, and these cows are still laying down comfortable on Christmas morning. And that for me was the best gift, knowing that these cows are happy and still comfortable, and especially when nobody wants to come into work. So the picture on the left there is a picture of our updated cooling. Cows coming out of the barn. They got a clean feed lane. They've got ample amount of bedding. Nice, consistent water coming out of those fans. Good coverage, and then obviously access to feed and clean water. And so these cows are able to do what they want when they want. We don't lock cows up, even though we have the stanchions. So they have plenty of time to, if they want to eat for 30 minutes and sleep the rest of the day, they can. So we're not going to dictate what those cows can do. That way they can achieve what they're made to do. So
awesome. Well, if you have any questions for Skylar, again, use the Q&A and throw your questions in there. We'll come back to any questions you have about the cooling system. Next, I want to move into the next topic that Skylar's brought for us today, which is the technologies that they're using on their farm. They're using quite a few of them. And go ahead and tell us a little bit about some of those technologies, Skylar.
Yeah. So I guess we're an early adopter of technology. I love data, and I love being able to individualize cows a little bit more. As you see, we're 3 farms. I do a little bit or a lot on all 3 farms, and it's hard to be able to be a cow guy and still be able to deal with thousands of cows as well as thousands of heifers. So these systems has allowed us to kind of do that and keep the cows consistent. So these cows are able to naturally be consistent, as well as we don't have to poke or prod them or touch them if they don't need. We don't blanket treat anything. We let the cows kind of tell us where they need to be at what time. So the leaning into technology kind of helped us. We were able to find cows quicker. We were able to treat cows on time. We're able to prevent problems as well and keep the lives of those cows consistent as possible. One of those things that we've done is one of the areas, I guess, is hoof health and lameness. We put in automated foot baths to prevent any kind of lameness. This was a kind of a labor issue that we had before. I mean, everybody can kind of complain about the same thing is guys weren't consistently putting in the chemical or making the foot baths every day, or changing out at the right time. They're also, these guys are also pushing cows or doing other things. So it's not a priority to them all the time. So we took that away from them. We basically said, we got these foot baths that are falling apart, our guys aren't doing a good job. We're going to automate all this, put new stainless foot baths in, and it's been able to create a better health environment for the cows, and prevent a lot of warts and strengthen the hooves, all that kind of stuff. The lameness camera, the 3D lameness camera, that we originally started with cattle eye, but have recently in the last year switched over to smart sights. And that camera, I mean, it's a small camera that's right above the exit lane of the cows. It reads their tag, it takes a video, and then it gives me a lameness score every time they go under that camera. So 3 times a day, they're getting read by this camera and then giving me kind of a trend on what their lameness score is doing. And what this allows me to do is catch these cows before the human eye can. I mean, I've got my trimmers telling me all the time, you know, I wouldn't have picked this cow out if in a million years if I was looking for them. And we're catching a white line disease before it's a problem. This has helped me catch cows immediately, to where I'm able to not have to deal with them, deal with the lameness score of 4 or 5, and then we lose the cow, we have to sell her, stuff like that. This is the kind of more leaning into technology. So we have the SCR activity monitoring. This is kind of a graph, and this shows you the heat stress on the cows is the red. We put extra stages of cooling into our dry cow pens. First 2 days, heat stress, start the cooling, and as you can see, heat stress goes away. These cows are not even feeling the heat anymore, and this is a dry pen. These cows, mind you, it was 120 degrees the day that we started these new stage ups on the dry cow pen. And this has helped us extremely with being able to find areas where we need to add cooling. We've added cooling to the milk barn because we thought it was doing fine, but then we saw cows were getting heat stress in the milk barn. This has helped us with health cows. We've been able to catch health cows sooner to where we can treat them sooner. We've been able to prevent cows from going to the hospital by being able to treat them with supportive care with this monitoring. And then it's also helped us obviously with the heat detection and being able to implement the embryo program a lot better. It's gives us timing on all that to where we're able to really make it successful and put the embryos at the right time, as well as breed the cows at the right time. So to kind of lead off of that is like we've got the automated sort gates, and we've had those for a while. These automated sort gates has helped us to not lock up our cows, helped us to drop a couple of employees to where we don't have to have 4 or 5 employees moving cows. I just need one. My breeder sits there and kind of just waits for the cows to come, waits for the conditioned cows, breed cows, ET cows, shots, vaccines, all that stuff is done right here to where we even preg check in this pen to where we don't have to lock up cows as much as we did before, and I think that's equated into a pound or 2 of milk.
Skylar, I wanted to ask, did we talk about these in the linear order? So as far as sort gate is last, and then your lameness, like how does that work on the exit lane? The 3D camera, the foot bath, and then sort gate.
Oh yeah. So I'll go back to a couple slides. So we on the 3D camera picture, you can see that the camera's first. That reads just so that there's no interference because you've got 2 readers right there. And then it goes through the sort gate. So all cows go through the camera, then they go through the sort gate. And then after that, we have the automated foot bath. And ideally what I would do is I would always put the foot bath so that it hits every cow. So we are missing some, but it really comes down to it's missing maybe 20 cows, 30 cows every time that runs. We run twice a week. that. So I would probably put it where you have the 3D camera, lameness camera, then you have the foot bath, then you have the sort gate. That way you're hitting all cows with the camera in the foot bath, and then the sort gates after.
And how long have you been using the sort gates?
The sort gates we've had in for, before my time. So I think they originally put in sort gates, but they weren't used as extensively as they are now. They were used mainly for vaccinating cows and moving cows, where after we've gotten the activity monitoring, the cameras, all that stuff, to where we can specifically sort out cows that we know we need instead of waiting for them to come out of the milk barn. We do a lot more. Those sort gate pens, those doors are opening and shutting way more than they used to. So
the other question I had for you, Skylar, is you showed the heat index. You're able to catch when cows are getting heat stressed. Talk about what that leads to on the farm as far as decision making. Is this programmatically built into the system so that fans are turning on, or does someone have to make that decision and then go turn them on? How does that work?
Yeah, so that's me. I basically watch this. I mean, I look at it weekly for sure, if not twice a week, and because this program has given me up to 14 days of this graph, and by doing that, I'm able to say, okay, yeah, we've got a problem in this pen. If it's the dry cows, milk cows, maybe it's one milk cow pen, not all of them. I can say, maybe there's a pump that's not working, or a filter clogged, or maybe we do need to reduce set points or something like that because of a weather change or something. And then, these collars initially were the things that kind of pushed us to do a lot of the upgrades on the cooling, just because we saw how bad we actually were. I wasn't happy with the statement that, it's hot every year. My thing is, we should be doing better for the cows. So, let's find areas of opportunities that are going to prevent us from saying, it's hot every year. The cows are hot. We started on the fresh cows off of that same graph, this same graph that's here. We saw the same thing on fresh cows. We saw the same thing on milk cows, close-ups, dry cows, and basically said, we'll start on the most important cows first. We did our fresh cows first, added a stage of cooling. We moved on to the Saudi barns, and that's where we put the computer in, did the pumps, and then our dry cows are in open lots, so they got extra stages of cooling, made sure water pressures were ample amount, and then the milk barns next. We're not there yet, but we want to add some fans and add an extra stage of cooling, some drenching, stuff like that. So.
Well, let's go to the next topic then, talking about how you're dealing with reproduction in this heat. Oh, sorry, you might have one more slide here before we get.
Yeah, just a quick one. I mean, those are the bigger items that we're using. A couple small ones that other people are using, but we have that feed lane push-up robot that it keeps the feed consistently available to the cows, especially at nighttime when guys have other priority jobs like maternity, moving cows, maybe sleeping, whatever those guys are doing, but they're not pushing feed. So especially when they're supposed to. So the feed lane push-up robots definitely help out with keeping that available to the cows. It adds to the cow comfort and adds to maximizing the cow's profitability and minimizing the amount of clean outs and wasted feed that we have the next day. I mean, it's been very efficient that way. The milk barn, I mean, there's a couple areas that we automated there. We obviously have some milk meters, so we get daily data on that. Every milking, we get some pounds of, and then we have our teat wand robots that do a pre and post spray. That way, labor can focus on prep and attaching the machine and making sure cows are milked out dry and clean.
Go ahead, Tyler. Go ahead, Skylar, with this reproduction discussion. embryos that you're using and how that's really helping in your Arizona heat.
Yeah. So without all that we did with the cooling, with the technology, we wouldn't have been able to really maximize and be able to do the genetics and embryos programs that we have in place. We're using high merit donors for embryo transfer. We've failed and we've figured it out to make it work. So I mean, we found the right animals that we need to put embryos into. We're still trying to figure out the right animals to take the embryos out of. But so far, I mean, it's been good. We've been able to move forward quickly on our genetic progress. Placing full Angus embryos in jerseys, I mean, that was where we started with the embryo stuff. That has been a big, it's been able to help us with a little bit of conception rates during the summertime. It's been able to help us maximize that uterine potential in those jerseys and get a premium on the day-old calves rather than a Jersey cross, beef cross calf. And then obviously the genetics and embryos has helped us with call rates, with production, with everything, to where we've been able to sell extra dairy embryos and extra heifers for added revenue and be able to maximize our genetic potential. And this is just a picture or a video of us extracting oocytes during an IVS session from one of our heifers. This heifer, I believe, is 7 or 8 months old at the time. She might be milking now and already has calves on the ground before she even freshened. So these guys are able to take these embryos out of, as low as 6-month-old heifers or high genetic heifers that we found after testing at day old, and then we put those in as soon as they're ready a week later, and 9 months later, hopefully we've got a pregnancy and a calf on the ground. So I'll kind of elaborate a little bit on some of the embryo stuff regarding heat stress and why I thought it was a good idea, not only for better animals, but also for helping us with heat abatement. So during the summers, this is the last summer's number, we kind of averaged around 40% conception rate on ET compared to 28% conception rate on AI. Mind you, there's a little bit of a skew in those numbers. So our ET went into first and second lactation cows, where the semen, the AI, that went into all cows across the herd. The only difference is we only use sex semen or beef semen on cows. We don't use any conventional, especially during the summertime. And so these are summertime numbers. This is an average over the 4 or 5 months of summer from June to almost October. What I like about the embryos, especially during the summer, is we are taking when we're AIing a cow, we are putting good semen into a heat-stressed cow with heat-stressed ovaries, being a heat-stressed egg. And with the embryos, what we're doing is we're taking embryos out seasonally when those animals are in the least amount of stress, and making those embryos, freezing them, and then by the time the summer rolls around, we're putting in, not heat-stressed embryos into a heat-stressed cow and be able to perform a little bit better that way. This is kind of a graph showing the last 2 years. Last summer we had the cooling in place. All the updates were in place, so you can kind of see that it's there's some red there on the conception rates month over month, especially in the summer. You see where we dip, where the summer is, and the lagging effect from that. And so what I kind of foresee here in the future, year after year, is we're going to kind of start to maintain a level conception rate over the summer if we can maintain our cooling, maintain our practices that we're doing now. Just because year over year, cows are going to stay comfortable and cows are going to be able to, reproductively stay healthy, and be able to get pregnant quick, be able to, move forward in lactation. They're not stressed out as much, especially when we have dry period, and we're focusing on dry cows during the summertime, making sure that they're cool. That way we get maximum conception rates during the wintertime out of those cows when they freshen. This is kind of a crappy picture, but it's a graph of 3 years on preg rate, and obviously the dip is the summer. The light blue line, where it dips the deepest, I think is 2023. The dark blue line is 2024, and then that red line is 2025. And so you can see, again, year after year, we're seeing a trend of where we're trying to stabilize these preg rates and increase them even more. You can also see that we're rebounding faster after the summer, as well as rebounding higher after the summer. And so that's my goal, is to keep increasing those numbers to where, my semen rep always complains a little bit. He's not selling semen. So, that's fine. We're making pregnancies. So, this is going into the genetic part of it, and kind of the way that we look at things now. It's kind of helped us decide on certain things. I talk a little bit on how we failed in a couple areas on ET, and so these numbers these graphs are basically a quartile analysis of low and high genomics, or TPI, on our first lactation cows. This kind of shows me, what we're doing is right. We're picking genetically on how to mate these animals. And basically, you see our highest quartile, we've got plenty of milk over our lowest. Our preg rate's higher, our days open is lower. The only skew to this graph is the fact that we've sold some of those low end quartile to as dairy animals, fresh animals, because we kind of predicted ahead of time, these cows aren't going to be what we want to keep around, or they're not going to stay around. So we always have a few extras. We sold those off just, to maximize the profit that we can get out of them, instead of selling them as beef. And it was good price at the same time. So, but on the ET side of that, that's kind of taught me a little bit of, we can't, these are second lactations, but we can't put embryos in everything. If we put embryos into that lowest quartile, you can see there's 48% of them turn over after a lactation, compared to 9% in the highest quartile. Now, the highest, that being said, I'm not putting embryos in all the cows in the highest quartile. I'm still, basically what I say is 2,800 and above, we're putting sex semen in. 26 to 2,800 is embryos, and then anything below 2,600 we're putting beef in. So we started it off putting in embryos on everything, except for the high animals, and we ended up with wasting a lot of money on embryos, just because those animals didn't complete lactation, or they didn't make it through to calving, because they have a higher abortion rate, they have a higher cull rate, and you can see they just have higher disease instances than what our higher quartiles look like. So we've been able to kind of differentiate the cows that we know are going to stay in the herd for a long time, compared to the cows that won't. So yeah, that all being said, we're still trying to keep cows as heat tolerant as possible. They're in this environment. They know what it's like. So we even go as far as raising our calves into a similar environment, just so they come to us knowing, if we get cows from Wisconsin or Ohio or anywhere like that, they probably won't survive as well in this heat compared to if we get them from California, Central Valley, or Sonora, Mexico. So these cows, we find the right bulls to put to them. We figure out what TPI index we want to start off, what number we want to start off of, just to be able to create these the animals that we want. We're trying to keep some type in there just to keep cows strong, especially in this heat. Feet and legs, make sure that, because the summertime, that really does some damage on some hoof health. So we want to try and keep feet and legs as square as possible. And then obviously DPR, cow conception rate, all that stuff, we try to stay positive on, just because, if we don't, the summer's not helping us any. So we want to try and stay as close as possible to that.
Thanks, Skylar, for the explanation there. As with all things Real Producer Exchange, we also like to ask producers to talk about one of their biggest learnings. We call it maybe biggest failure that you've overcome. And today you've brought with us to talk about calf raising and tell us a little bit about you're doing all these great things, creating great animals, and then you got to raise them up to be the next generation for the dairy. Talk about what you've learned about how to do that and how it was a struggle initially.
Yeah, so I love calves, but I suck at raising them. Arizona is just a tough environment for calves. We have 30 to 40 degree swings during certain times of year. We're an open environment. We're open to the climate, so we get obviously the heat, and then we get the rain and the moisture, and it's just so much change for those calves that it's hard to keep consistency to those calves. So people's the other thing. So we just couldn't find a team that was able to be detailed enough and caring enough to be able to take care of these calves and raise them up. So, I mean, it hurts me to say it, but we were seeing 20 to 30% non-completion rate up to 6 months. So we were just keeping what would stay alive. And it's hard to spend money on genetics and do all these big things that we're doing when you get this scrawny little first lactation cow that had pneumonia 7 times. And so what we figured out, and I kind of threw the white flag and said, let's send these calves away. Let's send it to somebody that's professional, that this is what they do, and they already have the teams in place, and they're as efficient as possible on it. I mean, that came with its own failures on top of that. I mean, not everybody's the same. They don't raise calves the same, and so what we're trying to do is we're trying to find somebody that's going to raise calves like we run our dairy. We first sent calves to a guy, and they did a great job at keeping calves alive, but it was keeping calves alive, keeping sick calves alive. And so we kind of take some weights on when they come back, and these calves would come back to us 6 to 7 months old, not even weighing 300 pounds. So the daily gains on those were just, that was the thing, is they were the cheapest people we could find at the time. And obviously that added to why we had less than 300-pound 6-month-olds coming to us. So we had to make a change there. We brought the calves back, raised them on site, failed again. And so we tried again. We went as far, on facility. We tried pair housing, we tried bucket feeding, we tried everything, and then went back to the basics, So from there, we moved on to another facility that was better, but they didn't have the depot set in place. So we were losing calves before they even made it to the other state where the calf raiser was. So, I mean, it's hard to raise. I mean, at least you're losing them at a day old or 3 days old where you don't have a bunch of money in them. But well, I don't want to lose any calves. So especially when we're, paying more on semen or putting embryos in and doing that. And these calves would come back to me at 6 months old and 340 pounds. So we saw some better gains. They did a better job. They were a little bit more expensive, kind of middle of the road. But it didn't work. So what we ended up doing, I didn't bring them back a third time. I said, that's not happening. I will leave if I have to deal with that burden again. Basically, we found a better place. That we went to this place. They're clean. They don't have a fly in sight. I mean, they feed colostrum for 2 weeks. They're progressive and on other people's calves, and that's how I would run a dairy. I mean, we'd be progressive and try to do things that will better the animal and create better returns. And so they were doing these things, and they were definitely a lot more expensive than the other two options that we had went to. And but that didn't matter because they were for us, for what we were raising, they were $20 more to get them to 6 months than if we were to do it ourselves. But that's not including the death loss and the call rates and the low production we were getting on first lactation cows because of it. So I was willing to pay that extra $20 a head to bring back quality animals. These animals came back to us. I mean, they're coming back to us now at 5 months old, and they're weighing anywhere from 350 to 370, sometimes close to 400 pounds. So their daily gain is amazing. These animals, they're not fat, they're not stocky. They're able to build their frame, build their genetic potential, and it shows that our investment is as important to us, or as important to the calf raiser as it is to us. So we're investing a lot of money into genetics and good animals, and he's taking care of that on the back end. So. This is kind of a look of maternity. These calves start with us. We still got to care for them day one. That was a kind of another area that was, the colostrum program was horrid when I came in there. We were feeding raw colostrum to these animals with potassium sorbate, which is okay as long as you can manage clean colostrum in the barn and extracting clean colostrum out of the cows. But the beef calves, this is a Jersey Charolais calf here that was just born. These calves were fed twice a day at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. They were kind of like the redheaded stepchild. They didn't really take care of them as well. If you lost one, you lost one. And that's the problem is that would transfer over to the heifer calves. If that's how we're going to treat these calves, and why would we treat the heifer calves any different? Well, we're going to keep them. So we're going to we had two separate programs for beef calves and heifer calves. And I said, that's enough of that. So we ended up making all calves priority, especially nowadays when calves are, $1,400 to $1,600 a head at day old. So all calves are fed good quality colostrum. We bricks that out now. It's got to be over 22 bricks. It's pasteurized, put in bags, disposable bags, one-use bags. So then these calves are giving low bacteria, clean colostrum within the first hour of life. These calves are given a gallon of colostrum within the first 8 hours of life. And we're going to actually bump that up to a gallon and a half within the first 8 hours of life. So, and they're given colostrum anywhere from 3 to 5 to 6 times before they leave our facility. So they're given plenty of colostrum, transition milk, if you will, until they leave and go to California where our raiser is. And this just shows, these are the quality calves we get back. these calves came back to me. These actually came back the night before we took this picture. You can tell they're alert, they're healthy. These guys did a great job of taking care of them. They're uniform. You can't really pick a sick one out. Usually, what happens is they're so energetic and full of life that they hurt themselves sometimes. We get more of that than we get sick calves from stuff we're getting back from these guys. So we get a little bit of pink eye, a little bit of horns that we've got to deal with, but it's definitely paid off, the decision we've made off of not holding on to our pride and trying to raise calves on site and deal with the death loss. So yeah, we pay a little bit more to let a professional do it, and we just trust him to go the extra mile for our calves, because that's what we're doing on our dairy. So these healthy calves are able to deal with heat. They're able to breed back better. They're able to show peak milk way better. And my consultants can attest to that. They've seen these numbers. They've seen what we're able to do. The ability for us to maximize the amount of heifer calves that we're making, or reduce the heifer needs that we're making, especially in expansion, and maximize the amount of beef calves that we can make, has made us way more profitable. Just rather than having to make 50% heifers and 50% beef calves, now we're making 25 to 30% heifers and 70 to 75% beef calves, making us way more profitable than we were before. So yeah, I mean, to kind of sum it all up, we kind of build our plan to fit our dairy and what our facility, our climate, what we have going on. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. There's a million ways to skin a cat. So, but the main thing is we're trying to keep cows as comfortable as possible, so that way they're able to show us their potential as much as possible. We use the technology to optimize opportunities, catch cows sooner, create consistencies for the cows. Cows love consistency, so if we can keep that, then cows will be able to maximize their potential. I mean, so especially that genetic potential that we're investing in. We're controlling the cooling with data, so we're letting the cows tell us how we should set the cooling. It's not how we feel, or it's not how what the weatherman says. It's the cows are telling us kind of, hey, I'm getting hot at 68 degrees, so can you throw the thermostat down a little bit? That way we get some cooling a little bit sooner, which has been a huge change for us, especially this summer. We're running 80-degree start times or start temps on all our cooling. This summer I looked at it, I tried it out. I said I'm going to drop it down to 75, and we saw an added benefit from doing that. So at what point, it comes back to what I said, at what point do we stop spending money on cow comfort? Because we keep seeing the benefit. So and then obviously invest in calf raising, whether that's on house or on site or a custom raiser. Just make sure we're doing the best for our calves to be able to create high quality heifers that are going to create high quality cows and give us better situations and better opportunities to where we can maximize profitability.
Awesome. We're going to give everyone a chance to ask them additional questions for Skylar here. So Scott, why don't you introduce and queue up how that Q&A will work?
Yeah, absolutely, Walt. Great presentation, by the way, Skylar. Really enjoyed that. Looking forward to the Q&A session. Folks, all you need to do out there is go to the Q&A tab and enter your questions there. Hopefully you've been saving up a bunch of them. And we'll be right back to answer those questions after this short message.
The future of your herd starts with the right genetics today. Markets shift, efficiency matters, and every decision needs to work harder for your operation. Transova helps dairies accelerate genetic gain, improve herd consistency, and protect the traits that drive long-term performance. With proven reproductive strategies designed to fit your operation, because tomorrow's herd starts with producers who are prepared for the future. Are you ready for what's next?
All right, you can still submit those questions throughout the Q&A time. Also want to just put in a real quick reminder. After the Q&A session, we're going to go into something called the back 30, and I'll let Walt tell you a little bit about that later. But I want to make sure that if we don't get to your question during the Q&A session, we'll probably save it for the back 30. Walt, let's start with the first question.
Yeah, here's a question for you, Skylar. Talk a little bit about the breeds, the Holsteins, the Jerseys. Do you find that the Jersey cows have less hoof problems and handle the heat stress better, or in general, do you favor the Jersey breed, or talk about that Holstein Jersey breed differentiation?
Yeah, so I'm a Holstein guy through and through. I like the Holsteins. I feel like there's a little bit more play genetically in those, more profitability, easier to manage. I definitely think the Jerseys do a better job dealing with the heat. But hoof health wise, I do tend to see more issues a little bit come quicker on the Jerseys. Those animals tend to have more digestive problems, have more hoof health problems, and are more finicky, I think, compared to the Holsteins that we're making today.
Another question here. Have you ever considered the slick gene, breeding for that in your herd, the heat tolerant gene that's available, the slick gene?
Yeah, the slick gene. My biggest issue right now with the bulls available is just the genetics that come behind them. But we are kind of dabbling a little bit into some slick gene stuff just recently, starting to try and create some high genetic animals out of some good bulls that the better bulls that they have with slick gene. That way we can kind of bring that into the herd a little bit as well.
Talk a little bit about how you push through the bugs and challenges that come with being an early adopter of technology.
Yeah, so I mean, the best example of that is that lameness camera. We started up with Kettle Eye, and we're not with them anymore. But it's we were, I don't know if we were one of the first areas in the United States or one of the first group. I don't know, but we really had to work or show that company how to run a large dairy with that system. And it was a lot of learning and sharing data and talking to people and not wasting time, but definitely a lot more phone calls than what you would normally with a set it and forget it kind of trial and proven thing. The SCR collars have been around for a long time. We put them in. They told us how to set it. We had a few minor adjustments and it was ready to go. Whereas this other stuff that we were early adopters on, that stuff definitely had a lot more learning curve to it on our side as well as on the company side too, because they'd find some curveballs. When we switched over to the smart sites on that, we got better numbers, more consistent numbers. But the problem that we found is how you install it, and you can't have two ID readers on the same fence line because they interact with each other, and now my sort gate and my 3D camera aren't doing anything because they're interfering with each other. So we definitely had some stuff that we had to figure out because they hadn't run into those problems yet. So
in our preparation calls for this, you talked a little bit about the importance of the distributor and your technician to work through any challenges that you have. Just explain how you've managed that. That I tell producers a lot when you're talking about technology. The next important step after the technology itself is the service you're going to get. So how are you managing that? Yeah,
I mean, I'm kind of a pain in the butt sometimes about this stuff, is making sure it's all working 100%. I know it never can, but I want it to. So yeah, going back to the lameness stuff, it's a perfect example on all this. Is we were kind of figuring all this stuff out, and we were trying to make it work, but there wasn't a whole lot of people you could call. Whereas now with our new system, the company that is helping us out with that, I don't even know that there's a problem. They fix it before I even see a blimp in the radar, So they figure it out, and then we don't have to worry about it, and that's a huge thing. SCR, they're very responsive when we have a problem. We send how easy is it to send a message and have somebody fix it before the end of the day, So we've seen both worlds where, we have those feed push robots, and I have one down because I've been waiting on a part for a month. And you start stealing parts off of that one just to keep the other ones running. So there are definitely some ups and downs with the tech. It's just finding a guy that can manage them, and then having the support team behind them that can keep them running.
Question here about you've invested significantly into mitigating heat stress. Are there any things that you tried to do for heat stress strategies that didn't work out? Like any lessons learned, things that you thought were going to be helpful that just didn't pan out like you thought they would?
I wish I could say yes, but it just comes down to everything we did helped with heat stress. The only thing that I can say is heat stress. Arizona is a dry heat, as they say. So water, cows use evaporative cooling, and this is the environment here that you're able to do that. So soaking a cow helps out a lot. When you get into humid times of the years here, that's 40 to 60% humidity during monsoon season. That is where we kind of have to drop the water down a little bit. The cows can't use evaporative cooling as much because you have too much water in the air, and getting them soaked doesn't really fix that. But you still have to figure out a way to cool them. So you still have to put the water to them.
Have a question here. How is Arizona different in terms of milk price, and how does that influence your decisions for investing on the dairy?
Yeah, Arizona right now, it's getting better. Last I looked, we're between $14 to $15 a hundredweight. But really it comes down to, with everything else we've done with heifers and selling heifers and being able to do the beef on dairy stuff, it's opened up more doors to where we're able to still invest in the stuff that we know is going to make us more profitable. One of the things right now is we've got an expensive conversion on those carousels. They're hydraulic driven. We want to try and make them electric so that we have less breakdowns, and that's going to be $250,000 to get that done. But how does this milk price allow us to do that? It doesn't. So the rest of the stuff that we have going on allows us to stay efficient enough and profitable enough to where we're able to do these kinds of things and prevent an even bigger problem.
Well, Scott, we're at the top of the hour here. We'll close out the recorded session here. Tell us about what we can expect next for the future Real Producer Exchanges.
All right, very well. As you said, Walt, this does conclude the webinar portion of today's event, and we'd like to invite everybody to stay on for the back 30. That's where we're going to take a deeper dive into the Triple G dairy operation with a few additional guests. So as a reminder, a recording of today's webinar will be available on the Real Producer Exchange YouTube channel. Just search youtube.com at Real Producer Exchange. Also, mark your calendars for March 17th for our next Real Producer Exchange session. More updates on the feature operation is on the way. So keep an eye out for exciting announcements, and be sure to check back for more details at agproud.com/realproducer.